the Vanguard Enforcers continue their crusade to find information. After chasing down the renegades of House Orlok and escaping the hands of an assassin, the Enforcers moved in on the Crimson Fane due to an informant's tip and were brutally beaten. They were searching for something in the belly of the Underhive, but so were the Nines. Somehow there is a connection between the Nines of House Escher and the renegades, so their focus turns to the missing link. The Vanguard send Rampage into a watering hole and trade area where they meet an informant. It appears the Vanguard plan to poison the water supply, and an argument ensues. On his own accord, the Subjugator Sergeant crushes the informant's skull. Off in the darkness, they were being watched. Welcome back to Miniature Game Montage, and as you've noticed, I am playing on a skirmish mat today. I would like to say thanks to those guys for providing our play surface today. It made our setup so much easier. This is their 36x36 industrial zone mat, which is perfect for Necromunda. I like their product so much, I will be buying a Kill Team mat from them in the near future, depending on what the new version of Kill Team looks like. If you want to support a company making great products for our games, visit skirmish-mats.com, and I'll put a link in the description. They have offered 10% off for my channel with the code Miniature Game Montage. Guys, I appreciate your support of the channel. Thanks so much. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Michael M. for his artwork he posted on Instagram. In our last game, a Goliath champion was about to get his brain smashed in by an Orlok Archammer, and he captured the moment, and I thought it was so cool. If you want sneak peeks of our content and what's coming up next and what we're working on, feel free to give me a follow there. Alright, a quick look at the campaign table shows both of these gangs at the bottom. The Enforcers were very close in their game against Orlok, but were handily defeated by the Corpse Grinders. House Escher also lost to the Crimson Fane and to House Goliath, and their leader will be in recovery for this one. Okay, let's talk Enforcers. The Vanguard add a patrolman named Weasel. He has the standard Enforcer loadout. They bank 10 credits and depart with 7 fighters and a gang rating of 1060. The Nines of House Escher add a Wild Runner, Lynx. She is equipped with a wild bow and flak armor. Siren the Queen will be out in this fight, and they depart with 7 active fighters and a gang rating of 1060, starting crew of 820, which will affect the tactics cards. Today's match is Sabotage, and the Enforcers will be attacking. We'll be fighting over the wall outpost, and the battlefield setup is standard, and the Nines will pick a 2-inch square to represent the attacker's target. This will be towards the center of the battlefield and will be represented by the water tower. The attacker is out in full force for their starting crew, and the defender is at 5 sentries with reinforcements. Sentries means they won't gain ready tokens until the alarm is raised. The Nines also have home turf advantage, allowing them to roll 2d6 bottle tests, discarding the highest. They also get +1 for rally tests. For tactics, the Enforcers take 3 cards, including Lucky Shot, Take the Initiative, and Appropriate Force. The Nines have a total of 4 tactics cards due to Underdog. They have Siren Howls, Lucky Shot, Hit and Run, and a New Strain. The objectives for the attacker is to destroy their target while the defender stops it at all costs. The target's toughness is 6, with a 5-up save and 4 wounds. As it is large and stationary, all ranged attacks are +2 to hit. Close combat attacks hit automatically. Sentries for the Nines can deploy anywhere on the battlefield, while the Enforcers within 2 inches of a table edge. The Nines will get reinforcements once the alarm is raised, and we'll explain all of that as we go. We're hoping to see a fun one today. I'm rolling up for the boys in blue. My son will be taking the House of Blades. Turn 1 is coming up. All right, getting ready for turn one, we can see the Escher forces have deployed to cover the majority of the battlefield with line of sight. While they are on high alert, they have not been alarmed to the Enforcer presence. The Enforcers have grouped together in two separate groups and are making their way onto the battlefield, and we are going to roll up for priority for turn one. And dice come out, and it looks like the 9s will be up first. And the way that this works is we roll a d6, and we're going to skip showing you all these d6 rolls, but if whoever wins it gets to move the sentry, if we tie, then it will go over to the defender. But I actually win the first roll off, and I am moving Tempest down this way. That is away from the group of Enforcers. Over for the Enforcers, Solidus is going to use a group activation, and Q-Ball, Hawk, and himself are going to move twice, and they will get up under the stairs and beside the column here, and that should do a pretty good job blocking line of sight to them and make it very difficult to be spotted, even if they are brought within vision arc of the Escher forces. Back over to House Escher, we roll up another d6, and I win again, and we randomly pick who is going to move from the fighter cards, and this time it is Dagger, so I move her with a simple move, and she will be pointing in the opposite direction. Back to the Enforcers, another group activation. This time it is Rampage and Wax. They are going to move twice, trying to get into a better position on the flank. And then we will move back over to the 9s, and Banshee is rolled up. My son actually wins this d6 roll, so he will get to make a simple move with Banshee. She moves 6 inches, and he's tucking her in behind some cover there. The Enforcers get the next activation, and Lockdown is going to use both of his moves to dart past Banshee in the darkness to get behind cover and stay out of vision arc. And then we roll up again, and Dagger is drawn again from the random fighter pile. Sentries can move more than once in some cases. She makes a simple move and points towards the middle. And then last but not least, we have Weasel, who will activate, use both of his actions to move, once again darting past Banshee. And after the last Enforcer activation, it goes back to the defenders for one more. I win the d6 roll-off, and the card selected is Banshee, so I move her back to her original position, and this brings us to the end of the first turn. So the Enforcers were able to move without being noticed. There's a few ways that they can get noticed, from firing at defenders to getting within a certain range of them, or even have a defender stumble upon them in their vision arc. They could potentially be discovered. Reserves do not come onto the board until the alarm has been raised. So we are moving to turn 2 to see if the Enforcers can stay quiet. Turn 2 priority rolls going out now. The Enforcers will be up with a 4. And they've elected to send the new patrolman Weasel up, moving twice, getting behind some cover, but certainly putting himself into an exposed position. We then roll up for sentries for the defender, and I'm going to win this one, so I am going to turn Diva around on top of this tower, face her the other direction. Back over to the Enforcers. Lockdown will activate, moving around the corner and getting to where things are about to be very interesting if one of these sentries is activated. Rolling up for that now, my son will win the roll-off here, and he is going to move Lynx. Nobody is within range to be spotted with her, but she's looking at the inside. Q-Ball then activates for the Enforcers, uses his actions to move, and then we go back over to the sentries, and we're going to roll up. My son will try to spot him with Dagger, and he is going to roll up a 10 here. And the way that the spotting works is it's 2d6, and that's how many inches they can see, and this is 10, but he is out of range. So next up, Solidus is going to use a group activation. At this point, I realize I really need to limit the number of sentry moves, so he is going to move up, and then Hawk is going to follow him as well. And then rolling up again for the sentry, my son will get Dagger once again and get to move him this time, moving her closer. This was near out of line of sight. We couldn't really make a determination, so we just said he was in line of sight, but the number rolled was even closer. It was just out with this 8, and that's the way that we played that. Now Rampage is going to use a group activation, as the sentries only get one more activation after that. And Wax is going to activate as well, keeping just ahead of Rampage, and really depending on how this next sentry roll goes, alarms could go off and the Escher forces could get ready markers, so really taking a chance here. We roll that up, And I actually win the roll off this time, and it is Dagger once again. It's the third activation she's got this round. I move her back and face her the opposite direction. So really avoiding a big catastrophe here, and this brings the end of turn 2 to a close. So some big chances taken there by the Vanguard, as they were certainly put in a position multiple times to be spotted, but were failed to do so. They have continued to go undetected, and we are gearing up for turn 3. No reinforcements coming in, no checks need to be made. Turn 3 rolls coming up next. Turn 3 priority rolls going out now, and it looks like there's going to be a tie, so the 9s will take up priority. And rolling for the Sentry, I actually get the opportunity to move Dagger. Lucky for me, I'm moving her back down the other way, facing the opposite direction. And then back over to the Enforcers. Hawk is going to line up a shot at Banshee with his sniper rifle, and he does negate the partial cover that she is getting because of it. And this is due to the infrascope. He is going to aim first, so needing a straight 3 in order to connect with this shot and give her a pin, and he will connect. And this is going to be strength 4 against toughness 4, so it will need 4s to wound. And he is going to get a wound, so she is not going to get a save here at AP -1, so it is going to be 2 damage because she was knocked back into the wall. And those 2 wounds result in an injury dice being rolled out, and it is an out of action. What a shot from Hawk. We then roll, and she is going to be out cold. The 2d6 coming out now is to see if the alarm is raised. 2d6 plus the strength of the weapon, which is 4, and if that's greater than 10, the alarm goes off, which it does. The jig is up. The Enforcers have been discovered. Diva is then going to use her first action to move and her second to fire down at Q-Ball, as she knows he has a grenade launcher that in frag or in crack mode can do a lot of damage to that objective. So rolling out, she's actually going to miss. It is short range with her plasma gun, low setting mode, but he is getting partial cover. Negating that, she just needs a 2 here, using Lucky Shot to re-roll that back out, and it will turn into a hit. So Q-Ball will go down pinned. 3 will get it done to wound, as it is strength 5 against toughness 3. And layered flak armor with an armored undersuit gives a 4-up save. He does not get the benefit of his shield due to it not being in the front arc. AP -1 makes it a 5. That is going to fail, so he will be reduced to 0 wounds. 2 injury dice will be rolled out for him. And it looks like he is going down with a serious injury, and we're going to take nearby cool tests, first from Solidus, and easily going to pass on this 12, and then rolling for Hawk, getting some assistance here, easily going to pass on this 7. They're both good. So an intense exchange of shots there on the turn 3 opening sequence. Moving back over to the Enforcers, Solidus is going to use an action to move, getting behind some cover, and then he is going to target Lynx across the way with his Enforcer bolt gun. And I think she should have gotten partial cover here. In retrospect, looking at it, we said that it was just short range. She was just barely in. He normally hits on a 4. Short range makes that a 3. And I think in looking at it from this angle, she probably should have gotten partial cover. In any case, we called it a 3. So that shot now coming out, she will be hit, and she will need to go down pinned. She will have to take an initiative test to see if she falls. First, though, she is going to be wounded, strength 4 against toughness 3. The AP1 will cut through her flak armor, but we are going to roll an initiative test. She is a 3. She does get a +1 due to the railing, so she will not fall, but an injury die will be rolled out for her. Actually 2, as this is a 2 damage weapon, and she is reduced to 0 wounds, and she's going down with a serious injury and also gets a flesh wound applied. Tempest then spins around on the stairway and targets Lockdown. She does not aim because she did have to move, and taking shots here has him in the open. She's going to miss that shot, needing a 3 due to short range. And then we've got movement from Wax as he moves to the side of the container, and he is going to target the objective with his Enforcer bolt gun. And this is short range, normally hits on a 4, so needing a 3 here with rapid fire coming from his Enforcer bolt gun. And that shot is going to miss. Back over to the 9s. Dagger is going to activate, use her first action to move. Her second action will be to target Solidus, and she has a last gun, normally hitting on 4s. It is short range, takes it to a 3, but he is in full cover, so we'll need 5s in order to connect with the captain here. And those dice coming out now, that is going to be a hit. So it is strength 3, toughness 3. That will not wound. And then we're going back over to the Enforcers where Rampage is going to activate. He is going to use both of his actions to move and pointing his shield towards the 9's fighters. We then move back to the Escher forces, and Lynx is going to make a crawl maneuver back over to the Enforcers. We've got Q-Ball, who is going to make a crawl move, looking to get an assist from Hawk in the end phase. And then we move over to Weasel, who is the new guy on the block, and he uses his first action to move, points his stub gun up at Tempest, and this is his first time squeezing the trigger in this campaign. Has her short range with his stub gun, but she is in cover, so he will need force in order to hit. And that shot will connect with Tempest. She will go down pinned. We do not roll for an initiative here to see if she falls. That shot will not wound. The Enforcers have the remaining activation, and Lockdown is going to use his first action to move. His second will be to target the objective with his Enforcer Bolter, and it is short range, so getting a +1 accuracy modifier, so just needing 3s. It is rapid fire, so that is going to result in 2, but Strength 4 against Toughness 6, he will need 5s in order to cause damage, and that does not happen. And this brings us to the end phase of turn 3. And if you follow me on Instagram, this is where some of those pictures were coming from, as I just got really excited about turn 3 because absolute mayhem erupted on the battlefield. One of the Death Maidens was knocked out because she was knocked into a container, was found out cold. Just incredible stuff. Then the plasma gun turns around with Diva shooting down at Q-Ball. Things were just getting messy. Fighters were getting injured and pinned all over the place. So looking forward to a really interesting turn 4, but first we need to wrap up turn 3 with bottle checks from the Escher forces, and it looks like they are going to be just fine. The Enforcers do not need to take a bottle test right now, as they can't fail. And then moving to injuries, Lynx is going to roll back over with a flesh wound. That will be 2 on her. Q-Ball getting an assist here. He is going to stay down with a serious injury, thankfully getting that assist and avoiding an out of action. And then reinforcements enter the battlefield. He rolls up a 1 on the Nightshade Chem Thrower, so I get to place that on a battlefield edge, and I put her way on the opposite side of the board. He rolls up for Angel, the little sister, and he can place her. Turn 4 coming up, where the Enforcers are going to play Seize the Initiative. So the Enforcers take the initiative. Hawk activates immediately, points the sniper rifle up at Diva on the tower, and lets loose with a shot. And he is going to aim first, making this a 3, and the Infrascope negating the cover. It will hit, and Strength 4, Toughness 3. We're going to be looking at 3s to do a wound, and that is going to wound. She does have a 6-up dodge to attack this, and rolling that out for her skill, that will fail, and a 2-up initiative to see if she falls. She is getting +1 for the rails, but we're playing a natural 1 would fail. She does not fall. She takes a wound, goes down pinned where she is. She immediately stands and returns fire, targeting Captain Solidus, who is not in cover. She's short range, anything but 1 to score a hit, and the shot misses. Next up, Rampage is going to announce a charge into the objective here. Automatically hits. He will get 3 attacks, 1 base, 1 for the charge, 1 for 2 melee weapons. And he will play Appropriate Force, giving him 1 additional but separate attack. The attacks will automatically hit. And this thing is Strength 6, so he needs 6s in order to get a wound. And all of these are going to fail. He is then going to play Appropriate Force to get that extra attack, and this would do 1 extra damage. But again, it needs a 6, and that fails as well. The 9s are up next, and Dagger will aim and fire her last gun at Lockdown. He is in partial cover. The aim negates that, so gets that short range modifier, needing a 3 in order to hit the Palanite Enforcer here, and she does. And then needing force to wound at Strength 3 against Toughness 3. That will score a wound. An armor save will be taken and failed on this 1, so an injury die will be rolled out here. 1 damage, reducing him to 0 wounds, and he is going down with a serious injury. Weasel activates next, uses both of his actions to move, trying to get into crawl range of Lockdown to give him an assist. And then back over to the 9's, Tempest is going to crack a shot at Lockdown, who is on the ground, not in cover, however, and she needs 3s, getting that short range modifier with her las gun base hitting on a 4, and that is going to hit. We will need to take an ammo check here, but it is plentiful, so we'll pass on a 2-up, and that ammo check is going to be good. The roll to wound will need 4s, strength 3, toughness 3. The wound roll is also good, and an armor save coming out. It's also going to be good by the Enforcers on a 6. And back over to the Vanguard, Wax will activate. He's going to target the objective with his Enforcer bolt gun, getting a +2 to hit. It's really hard to miss this thing because it is so big. And that shot with his Enforcer bolt gun, anything but, is going to land a hit. It is rapid fire. He gets 2 hits on it, but he will need 5s in order to get a wound, and he will get a wound. This thing has a 5-up save, so we take that, and that is failed, so that will be 2 wounds as that weapon does 2 damage. Next up, Angel is going to move, getting closer and closer to Lockdown, who is seriously injured, and Q-Ball will move closer to Hawk to attempt to get an assist in the end phase. Back to the 9s, Lynx will fire her bow at Lockdown as he is not in cover, but will suffer a -2 penalty due to range and him being prone, and that shot is going to miss with her wild bow. Back to the Enforcers, we are going to see a crawl move, this coming from Lockdown as he is attempting to get an assist from Weasel in the end phase. And then back to the 9s, we've got Widow using both of her actions to move, getting closer to the door in the center of the board. And now last, Solidus will stand and get to his feet, stayed down that entire time so he could not be targeted behind cover. He's going to target the objective with his Enforcer bolt gun, let loose, and it's a +2 to hit, so anything but. He will score a hit, but then he will need 5s in order to get damage, and he does get a 5. This thing will have a 5-up save. It is failed, so 2 more damage going on to this, and the objective has exploded. Turn 4 comes to a close as the Enforcers have completed the task at hand. Now the task is to try to get off the board without losing more than half of their force. So turn 5 getting ready to come up. The Enforcers are certainly in exposed positions. Are they going to be able to make it off the board after destroying the objective? In the end phase, the 9s will play Hit and Run, a tactics card that allows 3 of their fighters to make a simple move. Dagger will move, we will see Widow move, and then over on the other side of the board, we will see the little sister Angel make a move as well. And if they win priority this turn, she is going to be able to take Lockdown out of action. They will also play Siren's Howl, adding 1 to their opponent's bottle tests, and those bottle tests are coming out now. They do get to roll 2d6 in this scenario, discarding the highest. The result is a 4. They have 1 out of action, which equals their starting crew, so they are just fine. The Enforcers take a bottle test as well, and it is a 5. +1 for Siren's Howl is a 6. +1 for an injured fighter is 7, and that equals their starting crew. Injury or recovery test going out, it looks like Lockdown is going to stay down with a serious injury despite the assist, and then Q-Ball rolls out. He is going to roll back over with a flesh wound. Turn 5 coming up next. And the priority roll is coming out now. It looks like the forces of House Escher will be up for turn 5, and we've got a charge from Angel into Lockdown. It takes him out of action, and a D66 to see what happens. It is a 61. That is going to be a critical injury on Lockdown. Back to the Enforcers, and Q-Ball knows that Diva is lethal with that plasma weapon at that height on the tower. He's going to fire a frag grenade up at her using the template. Will just be a 4 here to hit, and that shot is going to miss. Going to use their lucky re-roll here to get this back out. Would like to see a hit go off here and blast her back, but that shot will also miss, so a D6 and a scatter will come out, and that is moving 5 inches and is just going to miss the captain. Close one there for the Enforcers, and we're moving back over to the 9s. And Diva will activate. She is going to target Rampage, has him in the back, fires down with her plasma gun in low setting mode, just needing a 2 to hit short range, and that will get a hit, and then she will do a wound. It is rapid fire. He has a 4-up save in the back, which goes to a 5 with AP -1, and that save is going to be failed. So it will take him down to 0 wounds, and a flesh wound rolled out for him. Wax is going to use this opportunity to use both of his moves to try to get towards the board edge, and then back over to the 9s. Reacting to this attack is going to be Dagger. She's going to use her first action to move, and her second is going to be to fire down at Solidus. We are going to give him partial cover for this shot, and she normally hits on a 4, short range 3, partial cover, taking that back to a 4. So Shot rolls out with her last gun, and that is going to be successful. And then we're going to roll to wound here. It is strength 3, toughness 3, 4s are needed. It will not wound. Back over to the Enforcers, Hawk is going to use both of his activations to try to get to a board edge. He will be able to take flight on the next turn. We go back to the 9s, where Lynx lines up a bow shot at cue ball. This is long range, adding a +1, but there is no cover. So normally hitting on a 4 goes to a 5. She is going to aim first, taking that back down to a 4, and that shot is going to hit. So strength 3, toughness 3, 4s needed to wound. It looks like there is no wound, but cue ball will go down pinned. With that bow shot sailing over his head, Solidus is going to get up with his first action, make his second action a move. And then back to the 9s, Widow is going to open the door and pass through the other side, trying to get in range with her Nightshade Chem Thrower. Back over to the Vanguard, Rampage is going to use his first action to stand, his second action to move. The Enforcer's very scattered right now. Tempest activates, uses her first action to move to the top of the containers, and her second to fire at Rampage has him in the open but just outside of short range. 4's needed to hit, and it will do so. An ammo check will be passed, and 4s will be needed to wound. It will do a wound. So an armor save will be taken and failed, so he is still on 0 wounds. An injury die rolled out here, and it is another flesh wound. That is 2 on him, and he has 1 remaining. Weasel activates next, contemplates running, but then wants to take one shot at Angel for taking out his buddy Lockdown and critically injuring him. He takes the shot and misses due to cover, needing 3s. He will then use his second action to move around the container, and that is going to bring us to the end of turn 5. So the Enforcers are scattered right now as they attempt to get off the board. We do have one that will be able to take flight, Hawk, who is within 1 inch of a board edge. He will be able to flee off the field. But as the Enforcers get close to getting off the board, they are still able to get shot by the Escher forces. So we do have Rampage, who is on 1 wound. We're going to move over to bottle checks, where House Escher will get to roll 2 dice. The Enforcers are going to be fine on this 3, and the 9s will be able to select that 3 for theirs. Turn 6 priority rolls coming out now. This game really going the distance, and it looks like the Enforcers will be up. Solidus with a group activation uses both of his actions to move to the board edge, and cue ball will activate with him. He stands up with his first action, uses his second to move, tucking out of line of sight for what he can. Diva on the watchtower has been raining down fire with her plasma shots and now targets Weasel, and the shot comes out needing anything but 1s. It connects rapid fire at 3, so needs 3s to do wounds, and all 3 of these are going to go through. The AP1 puts him on a 6-up save, and all of these are failed. 2 damage each results in 6 injury dice being rolled out, and he is going out of action. And we're going to roll up a D66 to see what happens to Weasel. It is his first night out with the Enforcers. The first one is a 6, and the second one is a 6. She melts him. He is dead. Rampage sees his buddy goes down, struggles to get to his feet, uses his second activation to move, can't quite get behind full cover here. And then back over to the 9s, Tempest will use her first action to move. Her second will be to fire down at Wax, and he is in full cover, so it will need a 5 in order to hit, even with her short range modifier. She is just going to miss. An ammo check will be required, but the gun is plentiful, so just requiring a 2, and that's actually going to fail, so Tempest will be out of ammo. So Wax is going to activate next, use both of his activations to get to the board edge so he can get off the board at the end phase. Dagger moves slightly to the edge, targets Captain Solidus with her last gun, and fires. And this is getting a short range modifier, and it will hit on this 4. An ammo check will be required, and it will be a 1 again. So she is going to be out of ammo along with Tempest. And the roll to wound, needing a 4, is no good. Solidus is down pinned, but he still will be able to make it off the board. Final moves for House Escher. We're just going to go ahead and take care of those. Lynx is going to move twice. We've also got Widow down below with her Nightshade Chem Thrower. She is going to move twice, hoping to get priority on the next turn. And then back over on the other side, Angel, the little sister, is going to move twice, closing the gap on Rampage. And that is going to bring us to the end of turn 6. So with the end of turn 6, the Vanguard Enforcers will be able to get 2 more fighters off the board, including Captain Solidus as well as Wax. And they have 2 fighters left, Cue Ball as well as Rampage. And if they lose priority this next turn, they could really be in trouble, as Cue Ball is in range of that Nightshade Chem Thrower, and Rampage is just on 1 wound. So we're going to take some bottle checks here, first off for the 9s, and they are going to be just fine again, and the Enforcers are good as well. So we are going to move into turn 7, priority rolls coming out now. And the 9s roll up a 1, and the Enforcers roll up a 1 as well. It's going over to the 9s. Turn 7 underway, both gangs still in this. Widow moves into the alleyway with her Nightshade Chem Thrower and targets Cue Ball. They are playing the tactics card, A New Strain, and that means that this gas weapon is going to automatically roll out an injury die for Cue Ball, so he goes down seriously injured. And now back over to the Enforcers. Rampage is going to use both of his actions to move, getting behind cover, and this is going to be where it's really going to count, as he is now in scoring position. Diva up top readies her plasma weapon and looks to fire down on him, not getting the short range modifier, but she only needs 3s, 4s with cover, and that shot will miss. But Rampage is certainly not out of the woods yet, as Dagger is going to aim and fire with her last gun. Normally on a 4, the aim to a 3, partial cover back to a 4, and her shot is going to miss. Lynx then moves into position in what could be the last opportunity for the 9s. She notches an arrow into her wild bow, normally hitting on a 4. This is long range and cover, so it will need 6s. She does get a hit. Rampage is on toughness 1, and she rolls out a 1 to wound, and it was anything but to do a wound and take him out of the game, and it did not work. The 1 not getting it done. And now you'll see Angel, she is going to make a double move, moving to potentially take Cue Ball out of action. And then we're going to go ahead and move Cue Ball with a crawl. It's not really going to matter here, as he cannot make it to 1 inch of the board edge. And then the rest of the 9s are just going to pass their turns right now, and we are going to end turn 7 here. We roll out a recovery roll for Cue Ball, and he will stay down with a serious injury. That means no matter what, he will get the coup de grace on the next turn. So rolling out a D66 for him, it is going to be a 35, which is a grievous injury, and we played that as Angel came in to sweep that up. So what an incredible game we just saw. It comes to a close. The Enforcers are going to come away with a victory today, and it all came down to the last shot with that bow, and a 1 was rolled, and they were unable to take Rampage down at the very end. He was able to crawl to safety. This has been one heck of a game, and we've got the post game coming right up. Can't wait. And welcome to the post-game. Holy smokes, what a way to end the first half of the campaign. The Vanguard Enforcers take a victory and move to 1-2, where the Season 2 champions, House Escher, fall to 0-3. Everything came down to a few critical dice rolls, and the 9s were in the game until the very last sequence. Had they not rolled a 1 to wound on Rampage, the 9s would have won the game. This was probably one of the most fun games of Necromunda I have played, and some of the dice, such as the Death Maiden going out first thing to a sniper rifle shot because she was knocked into a wall, things like that, just incredible. From what I've read, this scenario can be extremely unbalanced, but it felt just right for us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We are currently looking at what corrections we can make for House Escher, including chems, but they are credit strapped and just getting unlucky in the scenarios. Make no mistake though, we still have a second half to play, and the crown is still theirs until they lose it. In winning the battle, the Vanguard will earn 30 credits, and numerous experience points will be given for causing a wound on the target and destroying it. The Enforcers also earn +4 rep. They will police this territory, shutting down all criminal activities, and gain an additional +4 rep. For territories, they will receive 20 credits at the precinct. The 9s of House Escher will walk away with nothing in this match but experience for their crew, but they will get some credits from territories. Injuries were plentiful in this one. The Death Maiden, Banshee, was knocked out cold after being knocked into a wall. Cue-Ball experienced a grievous injury but will be able to recover in the down week. Lockdown was in critical condition, and taking him to the dock, he died from complications, and there was no way to save him. Weasel, the new patrolman, also died from a fatal blow to the neck area. They will continue to bring in fresh recruits to replace them in the down week. I would like to say thank you for watching this awesome conclusion to the first half of the campaign. Remember, each faction still has 3 games left and anything can happen. I certainly welcome your thoughts and comments down below. I also want to give a big thank you to the 2021 Coffee Supporters Club and new members Peter M. and Stuart M. I really appreciate your support. Thank you as well for watching. It's always a pleasure to play Necromunda, and I'm certainly looking forward to the second half of Shadows of Primus. See you next time.